Hello, everybody out there listening or listening later. My name is Margaret Pinard, and you've stumbled into my channel. Welcome. You are on BookTube. What do we have tonight? So I normally do a Friday live at 11 a.m. my time, but today I'm making it a bit different because it's a kickoff, and that felt more like an evening activity. So, in the style of Noah, of everyone who reads it must converse, I figured I'd do a little Friday evening Q&A session for the kickoff where we could talk about the Readathon stuff and whatever else floats across the membranes of your mind, right? Hi, Anita. I did my best to check when other things were happening tonight, and I know Anita has a show later on, I think in 2 hours. So I'm excited for that over on Go Indie Now. I'm a little in the dark about what the topic is, but I'm sure we'll find out from Anita. So the topic for my 30 to 45 minute plug tonight is the kickoff for May of the Moderns. So welcome. Before I get into the readathon details, I wanted to say a hearty thank you. Start with gratitude. Thank you to all the people who sent me birthday wishes last week when I was online and offline and on my phone and everywhere. It was much appreciated. As someone who gets older and doesn't make a big deal about the birthdays, it's still nice to be remembered. So thank you, Malia and Charles and Kendra and Cami and Charlie and Leo and Allison and Mom and Dad and John and Michelle and Kathy and Leo and Elizabeth and Neale. And I think I got most people. I tried to write out a list so that I wouldn't forget and be terrible, but I probably forgot and was terrible. So I really appreciate that. And now I'm 41. So welcome to the modern age. So there we are. What we're doing tonight is a Q&A for May of the Moderns. I've watched a lot of very cool TBRs for the May Readathon, and I'm very excited to see all the people's recommendations and hopes and ambitions, very ambitious TBRs. So people, I think the most common question was, is it okay if we fudge the 1945 deadline? And of course it is. It's just the spirit of the thing, right? So hand in your questions. I guess this is the time to hand in the questions so that I can answer them later. Of course, as a good live prepper, I have a few questions prepared for myself because that's what you do when you present in front of a live audience. I think that's pretty standard practice. Anita is telling us her blurb for 2 hours from now. It's Anita and Joe ranting about things like Facebook. I mean, that sounds like a good Friday night. Hello, cool gamer. And Jenna's here. Hello. Stream hoppers unite and stream frogs unite. Oh, Jenna's on her phone. That's interesting. All right, well, don't forget to pop off the live chat and on to the like button, because I know the phone makes that a little less self-evident whenever I'm in my bed on the phone and I have to remember to like people's streams. What do we have first? So the first, hi RC Scott, welcome, good evening. Okay, that's why you're on your phone, because you're multitasking like a boss. All right, well, be sure to send those questions in if you are anticipating participating. How do you like that? And I'll just start off with the first one, which is, why these dates, right? So why am I being so finicky about the dates? It's not the first 50 years of the 20th century. I said 1901 to 1945. And I've explained this before, but this is going to have it all in the same place. So this might be good for people to know why, the intention behind it. So I was inspired to do May of the Moderns because of Victober. And Victober is an October readathon to read Victorian books, stories, poems, etc. And Victoria reigned in England until 1901 when she died. So her era ends in 1901. And so I figured if I was going to pick up where that left off, it would start in 1901 rather than 1900. And then when you think of when does the modern era end and the postmodern era start, because I did not want to get messed up with postmodern, because that's a whole ball of wax in terms of art and interpretation. And you know where you should go for postmodern? Everybody tell me. Everybody knows. Where do you go for postmodern? I'm looking for the one booktuber's name. Booktuber / authortuber. Let's see if we find it in the chat here from people who know. Melissa's here. Hello, good evening. And Jenna is listening in and enjoying. Awesome. Okay, so I wanted to stay out of the postmodern dreck because I feel I am hopelessly underqualified to speak about that. But I felt mildly less underqualified to speak about modern themes and literature. So that's why we kept it to the end of World War II, because that I feel a date at which things start to go kerblooey in terms of theories and art and all that kind of stuff. So that's why the dates. That's my first question answered. 1901 to 1945. Why you gotta be so picky, right? If you've got questions about the Readathon, if you think you're fudging or you had questions about translations or anything, pop them in the chat. What's my next one? The next one I thought up was why the spreadsheets? Okay, so what am I doing for the Readathon, right? I've got two things that sort of overlap. What I started with last year was a spreadsheet, which is the same one I have now, little gussied up, and a bingo board. And the bingo board was kind of like prompts, but visual. And it turned out to be really hard. I think I only had 2 or 3 people who got bingo. And so that made the giveaway very narrowed. And so I'd like to open it up to more people. So it's basically people who try at least 3 prompts, which you can do with 1 or 2 books. So, but why this spreadsheet? Well, let me pop that in the chat. The spreadsheet is basically just a way to find friends to read with, because if you are wanting to read a book and get the most out of it, I think often on BookTube, the best way to do that is to do a buddy read. And I have done many, probably like more than 20 at this point in my almost 2 years. And they've been great fun. They help me get more out of a book, especially when I think 2 people are on the same page in terms of like delving a little more deeply into like, I found this quote, I liked this thing, I didn't understand what he meant, this was kind of confusing, this passage, and sort of go back and forth like you would in a discussion group in class. And so this is a way for people to see, oh, that book sounds interesting, I'll put my name next to it. And then wait, see if anyone else also finds that book interesting so that you can kibitz about it. And so that's why it started out as a buddy read spreadsheet. But I rebranded it earlier this week to say buddy read / solo spreadsheet. Because if you are a booktuber who wants to read the book, but no one signs up after you, you can still go with all rights and privileges and read that book and talk about it. It doesn't have to be a buddy read. But the fact that you're on that spreadsheet helps me know that you're reading a book for May of the Moderns. So then I know how to find you and put you in the playlist. So that's the other thing that I got this year that I didn't do last year. I've got the playlist ahead of time, and I'm adding people into it as I go, as they talk about the Readathon, and we can see all the other participants participating that way, which is cool in real time. So if you haven't checked that out, I have it down here. Let me pop it in. There is the link for the playlist, and you're probably on it if you're in the chat. So there you go. Maggie Ward. I saw Maggie was sprinting earlier this afternoon when I was furiously trying to do my thumbnail. Hello. Shannon SD Houston. Hello, everyone. Made friends with the like button. Shannon is once again on a live with Haley doing sprints tonight, but we just went on our next sprint, so she's doing the sneak around. Nice. Thank you, Shannon. Appreciate it. So that is the playlist where you will find all the participants talking about the books they intend to read. So that's why this spreadsheet, because my mind organizes things in spreadsheets. and I'm trying to facilitate community, trying to help buddies find each other to read books. So I hope that works for people. I hope it's not too scary. The other thing is I noticed that people just filter different ways, right? Some people like spreadsheets. Some people can't look at them because they go cross-eyed. So in case you didn't do a spreadsheet format like you wanted, we go to question number 4, which is why no bingo board? Well, I came up with all the prompts last year and put them on that bingo board. But this year, what I did was ask BookTube celebrities about the topic that I associate most with them and their reading and what they really love to chat about, and then developed prompts based on that. And then, because we have this delightful tool, Storygraph, I popped it up as a Storygraph challenge. So you girl leveled up this year to create a Storygraph challenge. If you're not familiar, Storygraph is a way to track your reading. So just like Goodreads, but cleaner, more for book nerds who actually want to read and not get caught up in all the ads and the dashboards and the following. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by birds on the patio. The cat is also getting distracted. Good, they're stopping in to pick up my breadcrumbs. And anyway, they're not owned by Amazon, so that's the big plus. But they also have these cool things called challenges, which you can just make up on your own. There's a couple steps I had to figure out, but after that, it was very simple. And so now we've got 23 people signed up on Storygraph, which is pretty awesome. So I don't even know all of them, which is fun. As an author, one of the milestones was selling books to people you don't know, right? That's a big moment. It's a big moment. I made a sale and I don't know who it's to. So it's bigger than me. So it feels a little bit like that when I go into Storygraph and I'm like, I don't recognize these names. That's cool. The Readathon's getting bigger than just people who I already know. And that's a nice feeling. So you can sign up on the spreadsheet in the chat or on the Storygraph challenge online. Well, they're both online, but you know what I mean. So that's my 4th question. Who are these BookTube celebrities, you ask? I'm so glad you asked. I'd love to answer that question. In case anyone follows Elise Myers on TikTok, that's her intro, just to give due credit. So the first one is Sex. That was given by Fran at Persephone Books herself, who's providing one of the giveaway prizes, Persephone book, which is exciting. Then we've got Timeless Black Classics, which is given by Bree at Locked Booktition, who I may be able to tempt onto the channel. We'll see. She's very busy. Then we've got War, which is Brian of Bookish. And I just did a fabulous buddy read with him. The buddy read was fabulous, not the book. But like I said, it's a great way to get more out of the book and delve a little deeper. So he was great to buddy read with, and he'll hopefully come on and give us a little bit more information about books by actual combatants in a world war or a war during this period. And 4 is End of Empire, provided by Roz of Scallydendling about the books. And sort of overlapped with that one is mine, which is Other, which is translated literature. So yeah, so those are the BookTube celebrities that I knocked on their door, and they were kind enough to lend their fame to this readathon. Let's see. The last question I prepared for myself, and feel free to drop in questions because that will save me from running out of them. Why these prizes and this giveaway format? Okay, so this is another one that it's in another place, but we're keeping it all here just in case people have questions and want to come to one place. Maggie says, I couldn't wait for May and read Secrets. Okay. Which one is that? Who's that by? And Shannon says, you're a smart lady thinking of all those ways to engage people. I try, right? This is kind of like marketing brain because you're trying to like reach out to people. Outreach, publicity, marketing, it all sort of wraps into each other. The prizes and the giveaway. So there's 3 prizes. I don't think I did the appearance on the channel like Maggie won. because I don't know if booktubers would be as excited about that in terms of publicity. So we're sticking with the 3 original giveaways, which is a Persephone book of your choice shipped to you, a bookish package, which is from me and can include bookmarks, stationery, other bookish things, and used books. And then finally, a gift card online to an indie bookstore in your country. So these may be chosen by the person, or they may be tailored to whatever country that reader is in, because it may be cost constrained. But those are the options and the giveaway format. So if you've seen, as Hank likes to call it on A Mighty Blaze, the Wheel of Fun, which is just something silly on StreamYard that they designed to have a random giveaway, as random as they could get. It's just a little wheel that goes around through all the profile pictures of people who have commented, and then chooses one and throws some confetti. But instead of giving away all 3 prizes via that one live experience, I do 2 during the live experience and then 1 from the comments in the 24 hours following the live, right? So it doesn't completely disadvantage people in different time zones, because I feel, and I don't want them to be left out. So yeah, so that's what we're going to do. That's sort of my MO now, I guess, is that we'll have 2 giveaways during the live wrap-up party, just like we did at the Black Authortuber Readathon in February, and then 1 to be chosen from the comments written on that live in the 24 hours following. So hopefully that enables people on the other side of the world to also log in, comment, have fun, and be entered to win. So that's going to be good. The main character, Cora, is very much a modern. Nice. I had so much fun hanging out and chatting with you, Margaret. You're great. Oh, thank you. Hey, okay. Welcome to Jimmy. All right, so that is my 5th question. Still none from the audience. Okay, you guys can start inventing them and popping them in the chat anytime now. Let's see. I was going to also have ready some favorite books and authors from this era. So I've already gone over the pile of possibilities, which is all the books that I have in keeping that I could think of, that are classics, that are, underrated gems that I've heard of other people talk about that might be interesting. But I did do this readathon last year and actually had 3 really great finds that I would say are now my favorites from this period, because I don't have very fond memories of Great Gatsby senior year in high school. And so I had to go further afield, including much later in life than high school, let's just say, to find these. So favorite books and authors, I really loved Dorothy Whipple. My first Dorothy Whipple is High Wages, and I read that with Katya last year. And it was a young girl in a drapery shop in the Midlands, Manchester-ish-esque. And her trials and tribulations in getting respect and finding love and fitting in, and then saying, hang it all, I'm going to do my own thing. And I was like, oh, you're speaking to me. So that was gorgeous. I definitely want to read another Dorothy Whipple. And I just saw Gina's in the chat. Hi. And Gina is one who I just recommended the Persephone newsletter to, and they are always out there barking for Dorothy Whipple. So I'm sure Gina has read one of Dorothy Whipple's books. I think she has 6 or so, a good handful. Up, the cat's getting distracted with the birds again. And so yeah, so definitely recommend. And those you might be able to find in other editions besides Persephone. What else? Precious Bane, and I think I have this one in a Virago edition, so another modern era specialty publisher. So I'm sorry if this is driving any of you nuts that they're not more accessible, but Viragos are pretty easy to find in used bookstores, I find, at least here in Portland. So Precious Bane is by Mary Webb, And I will touch on other readathons at the end, I think. But this qualifies as a historical fiction. So there's a historical fiction read along going on. And you can double dip if you read Precious Bane because it's historical fiction written in the modern time period. So it was written, I don't know, in the teens, I think. And it's about the 18 teens. So it was 18, 17, maybe even 17. It might have been 200 years earlier. I can't remember. No, it's just 100 years. Okay, so the story is 200 years old. It was written 100 years ago, and so it qualifies for both readathons. I'm trying to get too fancy for myself here. And it's a story by Mary Webb that is about another young girl coming of age. Gosh, are we seeing a theme here? But she's in a lonely valley in Chester, not Wales. What's I can't think of the countryside I'm thinking of. Somerset, sorry. And things are a little slower, things are a little backward. She's got a hair lip, so she's considered sort of disabled for the community, but she's very able in a very dysfunctional family. And so you see the dysfunction in the family as she grows up and how she responds to it. And you see the outside stimuli, outside sort of like religion and naturalism. And there's like, I'd really love to see how someone compares Mary Webb to Thomas Hardy, because she's writing after looking back and he's writing then and sort of foreshadowing modern themes. So that'd be very interesting. But I really love this. It had a happy ending. So yeah, sucker for an HEA. What can I say? So I definitely recommend Precious Bane by Mary Webb. And my third favorite modern read is Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. So this one I also read as a buddy read with Donna Sinclair, who's a local historian / writer. And she had read, I'm trying to remember if she had read it before. I don't think so. But she listened to it and I read it. And so we had a different experience and we're able to discuss and, really dive into some of the things in 2021 that were coming up as fresh debates. And style was great. She went on to read, I think, some biography or autobiography of Zora Neale Hurston. And of course, I was like on right into the next readathon. So I did not. But I have Tell My Horse, which is a nonfiction by Zora Neale Hurston that is on the maybe list this year. And it's one of her sociology works from the Caribbean, I want to say. Where she did sociology research as part of her wide travels. So that could be really interesting. Could be. We'll see. But yeah, Their Eyes Were Watching God is yet again a young woman coming of age, but you see much more of her life than the other two. You see her go through travels in the southeastern United States. You see her conquer adversity. You see her stand up to her parents and leave home and discover things about herself and go through 3 marriages, I think, and survive like a mini hurricane and like stand up to other people who are trying to intimidate her and just like witness to history of that time. So super, super fascinating. Yes. Thank you, Maggie. I blocked on this end, but I'm not on the YouTube site, so could be. Yeah, like textbooks or academic tomes from a different period that could be pretty dry, and it's nonfiction, so you're not going to get like her stylistic voice. You're going to get like reportage of Zora Neale Hurston, so it could be my thing or it could not, but would be interesting. So those are some faves. All right, well, I'm not getting any questions, so I'm going to turn the tables and ask you guys the questions. What are you aiming to finish by the end of April? Look what I'm trying to finish. I am part of the Pachinko along that Gemma of Books is reading, and I'm like halfway through book 2, and there's 3 books within the book, so I'm almost halfway. And I put it down to finish the 2 other buddy reads, and then haven't picked it up in like a week. So I'm gonna need to like get my game face back on to finish by tomorrow. Tomorrow, close of business, so I've got all day. I'm also listening to Fox and I by Katherine Raven, which is fascinating, on an audiobook from Libro.fm. Has anyone else heard of that one or listened to it? Because it's so good. It's so good. If you're a nature person, if you're doing Springathon, here's another recommendation for a completely different readathon. But Fox and I by Katherine Raven. She is a neurodivergent former park ranger, PhD biologist who needs her space and then talks about animals in a very interesting way and like details this relationship she has with this fox. Oh, it's so good. Oh, look who's here. Hey friends. Hey Barrett. End of a long day. I'm thinking getting words to hit a goal before going back to bed. Yes. Hit that like button. Thank you. Gina says, I was hoping to finish the Odyssey, but I'm not going to make it. Oh, no. That's a long one. That's a long one. Shannon says, Court of Dragons by Frost K. I'm not familiar with that one. There we go. Now the stream is official. I sneezed. Melissa says, I'd ask a question, but getting over a horrible cold and my brain is obviously still mushy. Oh, I'm sorry about the cold. Shannon says, it's about dragons, fae, and romance. Well, how can you go wrong with that? Shannon saying, hey. Melissa says, was hoping to finish Slaughterhouse 5 this week, but only 1 chapter in, so that ain't gonna happen. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna have to choose between Fox and I and Pachinko. Because like this is probably like 3 or 4 hours worth of reading, and that is 3 hours of listening. That's like a full day. So we'll see what I can get done tonight and then how I divide my time tomorrow. I finished my books, but DNF'd a series. I'm trying to make it to chapter 5 per my DNF rule, but I just don't think I can. Ooh. So I finished my books means like the writing that you wanted to get done this month, I think. Thank you, Melissa. Oh my gosh. So this reminds me of a piece in A Fox and I where she is in some random alone place, Mount Rainier Wilderness or something, and she is surprised by these 2 German tourists, and she tries to describe a certain type of twisted tree with the German word, which she knows for some reason. And she says it like 3 times and they don't acknowledge. And then they come to another spot where she sees another thing and they say something. And she's like, I think that's the word that I was saying. But they ended up laughing over the American pronunciation of Gesundheit, which is apparently a far cry from the actual German word. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so trying to finish that up in April so that I don't disappoint Gemma and so that I can put it on my little card and have a clean slate for May so that I can do my darndest for May of the Moderns. How about the next one? The next one is, what other readathons are you combining with May of the Moderns? What are your double dips? So you might be able to combine easily with historical fiction, hosted by Katie at Books and Things. As I said, Precious Bane is one that would fit in both. Springathon, I'm trying to think if there's a naturalist. Patrick Firmer might work. So he did like backpacking trips across Europe in the 30s, and it's widely regarded as the last bit of travel literature that really exposed the political environment of Europe before the Second World War. So as things were building up and as things were changing and sort of going on their irrevocable path. So that sounds pretty fascinating, but he was backpacking across like the Alps and stuff. So he had to have like nature observances as well. Not observances, observations. There we go. So that would work for those two. I know about those. What other readathons? Shannon's like, no other combinations, as this is as much as I can handle with my schedule. Well, I mean, what are you going to work on in May, right? You finished book 3. It's out to your reading partner. Your deadline for people applying to the Authortube writing conference is May 15th. I guess that's going to be a lot of work, isn't it? So there we go. Announcement to anyone. If you are an Authortuber and you want to be part of the conference and present on a topic, there's a application form if you want to be involved and learn about it, all on authortubewritingconference.com, I believe. And Shannon, Esty Houston, and Jenna O'Malley have done a bang-up job of preparing people for this. It's going to be in July 15th, 16th, 17th, I believe. So, Authortubers, train your sights. Oh, Dee is here. Just stopping by. Left a like on my way out. Thank you, Dee. Nice to see you. Melissa says I might not get to any other readathons in May. Oh, Gina's saying there's a horror mayhem? Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Side note. People who read horror, i.e. not me, and I know not Shannon, Melissa, I think, reads horror, right? Can't remember. I was just talking to a guy who was like telling me all about horror that he likes in movies and books, and I clearly said, yeah, it's too much for me, but at least there's all these other genres of literature and art to appreciate. And he did not take the hint, and he just kept on talking about horror. And I tried to steer the Stephen Graham Jones conversation into another direction, but like, wow, people in conversation are rusty these days. Oh, Shannon's plans include outlining 4 books in May and starting book 1 to exchange with my CP starting in June. Holy moly. So you're going to try to draft a whole book in May while outlining 4 books. Jeez Louise. Okay, well, now we know what you're busy with. And Maggie's got the link for us. Thank you, Maggie. Authortube Writing Conference, July 15th to 17th. Even if you don't want to apply to be part of it, if you're a curious booktuber, as some of us are, you can definitely like stop by and listen to what people are saying if it appeals. Yeah, Melissa loves horror. But you would pick up on it if someone didn't and like not talk about it for another like 6 messages in the conversation, right? Just cues. Judith says, I don't like horror either, but there are a few horror booktubers that I love. Fair enough. And Gina says, Turn of the Screw counts as horror. Oh. See, I don't think I ever read that. Henry James. It might be a May of the Modern. But I did see the play. And the play was pretty cool. So, but I wouldn't call it horror. Like, it's like the others, right? And I wouldn't call the others horror. I would call it suspense, you know? I know we've gone over the definitions to this before, but some of it really like freaks me out and gives me nightmares, and some of it doesn't. And so I guess I haven't determined exactly what that line is. And Shannon giving us a little bit of a teaser here. There will be book giveaways during the AWC. So there's another reason for readers to tune in if any of those panels appeal to them. Melissa says, haha, I'm really good at picking up cues. There we go. And Anita says, the others is horror. Horror has many subgenres. Okay. But to me, like mystery, thriller, horror, mystery and thriller overlap a lot more than those and horror. Horror. That makes sense. I don't know. Anita's going to be the horror reader and writer? No, Anita doesn't read horror either. She just writes it. Huh. Well, don't judge horror on the gory stuff. Yeah. Like the last sort of bit I threw out for this conversation was the last time that I engaged with horror was when I was in high school and a friend had horror movies, like B movies, playing on a screen in the backyard, and we used that as an excuse to like hang out in the dark with a bunch of teenagers, and that was really fun because it was just campy and like not scary, it wasn't like trying to poke at my imagination and give me nightmares. So Maggie's running out to do evening chores. Be blessed and happy weekend. Thank you, Maggie. Melissa says, I wouldn't lump horror in with thriller or mystery. Right. Off sprint, so back on alive. Have to catch the rest of this in a replay. Thank you, Shannon. But there is so much overlap between genres. Yeah. Okay, so there's a Horror Mayhem Readathon in May. Interesting. Any other readathons people are combining with May of the Moderns besides the ones that have been mentioned? Horror does overlap with thriller crime via the serial killer subgenre. Oh, okay. I could see that. Not really my thing. Okay, so with that, question 3 that I've got for you guys. Oh. There we go. What are some yearly book goals you're helping out by doing May of the Moderns? So I actually haven't put up a yearly goal. Like Goodreads, I had a yearly number to hit that I thought would be cool. But I missed the last one. And then when I switched over to Storygraph in 2021, I didn't put in a goal. And then I ended up hitting the one that I meant to the year before on Goodreads. So I don't have a yearly goal. I do have monthly goals that I talked about before, which is these diverse things, which I took from Melissa. So I put my own prompts in, but I'm trying to like hit all of these each month, but not be too picky about it. And I'm going to talk about this on Sunday. So stay tuned for my May TBR. We'll actually try to balance May of the Moderns and my like diverse reading goals each month, which is diverse in terms of format, in terms of author, in terms of owned, and et cetera, et cetera. So do you guys have any yearly goals or sort of bigger, broader goals that you're getting towards with any of these prompts? Am I helping? That's what I'm hoping. So yes. Reading down my shelves is a big goal for me this year, and I've got a couple moderns on there. Yay! Good. I was trying to appeal to people who had like, gosh, I've got this old paperback that I thought would be really great, and then it's just been sitting on my shelves for 5 years. It's an ancient TBR, and it deserves to be picked up and loved. The buddy read that I just did with Brian of Bookish, we have both actually had that book on our shelves for 20 years. Legit. Like maybe 19, maybe 21. No, 19, I think. Because I think it was published in 2003. Anyway, a long time for someone who has moved like 12 times in that period. Oh my goodness. So I'm glad we finally read this. And you'll hear about that one in the wrap up on Wednesday, April wrap up. So, oh my goodness, that was, yes. So reading down books that you have, especially books that are like classics that you've been meaning to get around to. I hope that's helpful for people. And Elizabeth is here. Hello. Good evening. Gina's saying, I don't have any goals, but to read what I want. And I love the moderns. Yes, see, tailor-made for Gina Stanier. If you had a goal to say, I don't know, find some more Persephone books, this would be helping, right? Because it's giving you an excuse. Let's see. So I went over Persephone. I went over Virago. The other one that actually keeps jumping out at me from used bookstore shelves is the New York Review of Books, and they tend to have a good selection when I see them of modern period books. And so my eyes are always attracted because they're really pretty covers, and they're usually in this time period, and they're usually pretty well respected books, so it's often worth a go. Elizabeth says, I have a list of 10 women authors I want to read before the end of the year, and 2 of them fit May of the Moderns. Edith Wharton, yay! And Virginia Woolf, woohoo! Very cool. Virginia Woolf. I read, did I read it or did I just participate in the discussion? Orlando. I can't remember. It's too long ago. It was like 10 years ago. But I definitely loved A Room of Her Own, A Room of One's Own. And that is so short. You could reread it at any point. It's a beautiful little book. I have not read To the Lighthouse. I have that one. But yeah, she's not on my list. She's so big and people know her so well. I figure I'll leave that to people who have, like, I don't know, loftier goals. So I'm running after the less well-loved books and trying to give them some love. Yeah. There we go. Anyone else with yearly goals, feel free to drop it in the chat. And I'm going to move on to our 4th and final question. Yeah, this is the last one. If you guys have questions for me, feel free to pop it in the chat. My last question for you guys. Do you have ambitious plans or collaborations you're itching to get started on somehow? Do tell. Because basically I'm just trying to think of this readathon and why I'm doing it. And like I said at the beginning, because I wanted to keep going after Victober and it seemed like there was a hole, I went for the same method when I set my books. So I write historical fiction and the books are set, the trilogy that I wrote is set in the 1820s to 1830s. And I chose that era because I was writing about Scotland and Canada. And I thought, okay, there's already a lot about Scotland in the 18th century and the Jacobites and Outlander and all that stuff. So I didn't want to touch that because it was too done. But I also didn't want to do Victorian because that was different themes. And so I plunked in the middle and thought, no one's written about this. This is perfect. I'll have the space all to myself. Oh, naive writer wishes, right? So I guess I kind of did the same thing for this readathon. I thought I've done a tag, I've done I've done a book festival, right? The Yola Book Float. I've done a lot of things in the book community, but it hasn't sort of like gelled in terms of catching fire, and that's a mixed metaphor to take to the bank. But I figured I would do a readathon that was in between other people's already claimed territory so that I wouldn't ruffle feathers. Is that a good approach? I don't know. I don't know. But I thought it was something that wasn't being addressed. And so there was the possibility that there would be fans and people who were as interested in it as I was. So I lucked out with Gina. So glad to see that. Do you have similar ambitious plans or ambitious collaborations you want to do but sort of don't know how to start? Because this might be a good place in the comments to put those out there in the universe. And just like that buddy read spreadsheet, someone might pop up and say, ooh, I totally want to do this. B-movie horror compilation watch party. Yes, right? I mean, you never know. You never know. You have to fly that fake flag to find out. So this is your opportunity, especially if it's modern themed, hey, to put that out there. If you've got plans or dreams or collaborations you want to do, let us know in the comments and maybe you'll find someone who wants to do it with you because that's always more fun. I kind of put out feelers for people who wanted to be co-hosts, but didn't really catch. So we'll see. If I do this next year again, and it's again in May, people might have more stability to build on or around, and want to join to take it to the next level. I don't know what the next level would be, so we'll see how this goes and if it inspires any other ideas, because I don't know, maybe yeah, I don't know what the next level would be. TikTok? It's not very modern. Perhaps cosplay. Perhaps some sort of like costuming component would be very on brand and excite the people who are modern readers. I don't know. If you've got ideas, let me know, and then we can start preparing now. Who knows? So that's all I got for you tonight, I think, for this Friday Live. Elizabeth has To the Lighthouse on her shelves. Melissa says, I've been itching for collabs and doing more creative stuff, but haven't had the time this season. I know, you set a high bar with those pop culture vlogs, and now people are like, oh, speaking of which, no one put in the comments the person who you should go to for postmodern analysis. I'll put that out there again. Can we all say it in stereo? Or I'll just type it in the comments. Beep. Ta-da. That's my answer. I was just waiting for someone to say it so that we could all say it together. But yeah. So I'm keeping it to the moderns because postmodern gets way too complicated, and I will leave that PhD lecture talk to pay at attention because he will handle it a lot better. So there we go. What else is there for tonight? Let's see. Coming up. So let me get my banner here. Coming attractions. Coming attractions. As I said, Sunday is going to be the TBR, how I'm going to balance the May Modern Readathon reads with the other things that I'm doing, because Asian Readathon, run by With Cindy, is also going on, and I definitely have a plan to read a book for that, which is a buddy read that I've had on the calendar for months and months, so not going to forget that. So that'll be Sunday, and then Wednesday will be the wrap up for April. So you'll get to hear all about that exciting read with Brian of Bookish and the several others. And if I finished Pachinko in time. And then Friday, let's see. Oh, that's the other thing we're doing, right? Sprints. So if you are in a position to join reading sprints, and if you like that sort of thing, I haven't done it before. I've only joined one, which was Margaret at the Word Nerd a couple Saturdays ago. It was good. I might be on another one tomorrow night, but in May, I will be running my own on Friday mornings after Esty Houston's reading sprint. So hers are at 7 my time, 7 to 9. So mine will be 9 to 11. And then Saturday after Jenna O'Malley's, which are, I think, 9 to 11 my time. Maybe 7 to 9. I'll get this straight before I put them up. But Friday morning, Saturday later morning, reading sprints. So if you just want to like get together and talk, I'm working on just some fun sort of like prompt questions during the reading sprints so that we have some time for reading and then just have fun chat times. And so that'll be Friday and Saturday. So that is my next week. I hope that is exciting enough for everybody. And yeah, lots of other stuff to come. So yeah, that is it for tonight. Taste Life Twice. My tea is already gone. It's a fake teacup up here, and I'll have to go provision myself with more. Thank you so much for coming and watching this video for my Friday kickoff Q&A. And excited to see you all in the coming weeks during May. Feel free to ask questions down below. I am online all the time, so I will be answering them quickly. And yeah, maybe Bean will help me in the next video. Maybe we'll get a cat appearance. I just rearranged my living room, so he's no longer here on the cat tree. He's over there where the couch is now, and the cat tree is in front of the window. So it does mean that he's distracted by the birds. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if we get a cameo. All right. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you again soon.